everyone, and welcome to our Startup Weekend Meet, Greet and Learn pre-event. So my name is Emily, and hopefully, as most of you know, I am the lead organiser of Plymouth Startup Weekend events. Joining me this evening, we also have Maria, our Startup Weekend facilitator. So this evening, we're going to start with a quick introduction to the Startup Weekend events here in Plymouth, and in particular, how the virtual event will run next week. We are then going to hand over to our speakers for this evening. So I'd just like to start by welcoming them all. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We have Diane from Enterprise Nation, who's going to tell us all about why now is a great time to start a business. We also, of course, have Maria, as I've just said, who, just to say again, is our Startup Weekend facilitator in a few weeks' time. And Maria's going to give us some top tips on pitching at the Startup Weekend events. We're then going to have the opportunity to answer some questions. So do drop any questions that you have in the chat and we'll answer them then. And then we're going to have Gavin, who's not on this call yet, but will be joining us later. And Gavin's going to tell us all about how he started his business right here in Plymouth. He's also co-founder of Digital Plymouth. And if you don't know what that is, then I highly recommend you check them out and join one of their future meetups. Talking of meetups, we've also got Alex on the call this evening. And Alex is going to tell us all about the Jena Plymouth community and the meetups there. Again, if you don't know what that is, then highly recommend you check them out and join one of their future meetups. So, the Startup Weekend events. What is it? These events are part of a series of Techstars Startup Weekend events running here in Plymouth as part of a project called iMayflower. So we've run 2 events so far, and this will be our 3rd event here in Plymouth. But it will be our first virtual event. It's got a different format, but it's going to be bigger and better than ever. Simply put, the Startup Weekend events are a 54-hour event designed to support budding entrepreneurs, intrapreneurs, or anyone who is interested in developing an idea, learning new skills, meeting new people, and so much more than that. So how does it work and what happens at them? So I'm just going to quickly run through the weekend and some key points, but just to remind you all that the full event schedule is on the event page, so do check that out and have a look. So here's our event timeline. On the Friday evening, everyone has the opportunity to pitch an idea. Now, you don't have to pitch an idea. You can just come along and join a team. But we really encourage everyone to give it a go. Remember, for this online version, we're asking everyone to submit their ideas by Thursday evening if they want to pitch. And this is really to help us organise the pitching on the Friday night. So Friday, we pitch, we form teams, and then we get to work. Pitching. The pitching is a 1-minute elevator pitch, and I'm not going to say too much on this because Maria's going to give us some pitching tips later on. But what happens is attendees line up, virtually of course, to pitch live. We'll have a strict 1-minute time limit for attendees to pitch their ideas. We're then going to virtually throw all of the ideas on a whiteboard and form teams around them. People that pitched are going to identify what skills they need within their team. And then everyone is going to virtually network and form teams. Remember, we want a range of different skills and backgrounds in every team. So usually we'd get all of the teams set up in the venue, we'd enjoy some food, and we'd all get to know each other. But obviously that's not going to be the case. This time it's virtual. But we're still going to do all of that as much as possible. Teams are going to have their own virtual space set up, and be paired with a member of the organising team or a facilitator to take them through the weekend. So this will be the person that a team reaches out to if they have any questions or if they want to be paired with a mentor during the event. Then, Saturday, we really get to work. We welcome our mentors, we have some workshops and speakers, and we have some workshops and speakers. And on Saturday, we really focus on customer validation and developing our business model canvas. Then Sunday, back to it again with even more support from mentors. And today on Sunday, really focusing on developing our pitches ready for the judges. So usually we'd practice our pitches and then we'd go straight into pitching to the judges. For the online event, we're asking teams to record and submit their pitches on the Sunday afternoon. This is so that if anything goes wrong during the live pitches, then we still have everyone's pitches to hand and no one is going to miss out on sharing their pitches with the judges. So we submitted our pitches, we've worked really hard over the weekend, and perhaps there are some nerves from me and the facilitators included. So then we're going to have some more speakers on Sunday afternoon to bring the energy up ahead of the final pitches. And we're even going to get a little street dance lesson from Toby. Then we pitch. The teams will have a limited time to pitch and receive feedback from judges. The judges will then disappear and everyone will stay in a room and network, and the judges will return and announce the winner and go through the prizes for the event. So, the judging criteria. Bear with me a second, there we go. So I'm just going to really quickly run through the judging criteria, but we will remind everyone about this before the event and during the event. The judges will judge the team on three main areas. Validation. So did the team talk to customers? And are they actually solving a problem? Have the team identified a specific target market? 2, execution and design. Do they have a minimum viable product or a prototype? How functional is the technical demo if they have one? Is the product design and product easy to use? And 3, business model. How do they plan on making it a successful business? Are they solving a problem? So what is the value proposition of the business? Is the idea unique? Okay, so that's the judging criteria, and we'll remind everyone about that, as I say, in the lead up to the event and during the event. And we'll guide everyone through so they have all of that ready to go for the pitching on the Sunday. So, lastly, why is it awesome? So firstly, the startup weekends are amazing because of all the people involved. And we have so many amazing people involved in this next event, like Carly on screen here. And we also have a few mentors on the call this morning, so thank you everyone for joining this. And they're all here to support you all. Another reason why this event is so amazing, the experience. And it's really easy for me to say as an organizer, and I can't say this enough. It's a pleasure to organize these events, and they are completely unique. These events are a safe space to share and build ideas and connect with a community here in Plymouth and across the Southwest and beyond. Another reason why they're amazing, the network and the community. As I said, not only locally, but also these events tap us into a global community. Maria is calling all the way from Greece this evening. We've got some people on the call from London, and during the event, there's going to be people joining from across the Southwest and even further afield. So that's it from me, and I'm going to hand over to Diane in a second to tell us all about why now is such a good time to develop an idea into a business. But as I said, if you've got any questions, drop them in the chat and we'll answer them after Maria's talk. So Diane, I'd like to hand over to you. And yeah, why is now such a good time to start a business?
Amazing. Thanks, Emily. Yeah, thank you so much for taking the time for checking in with this pre-event. I've been involved in startup weekends before, and I can absolutely testify these are great sessions to not only meet people, test your ideas, get to know a wider crowd of kind of the entrepreneurial sector that you might be interested in moving into. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to share with you from our company, Enterprise Nation, a small business network who are connecting with small businesses across the nation to help them start, grow and turbocharge their business. So I have a couple of slides that I'm going to share with you just about kind of what we've been doing at Enterprise Nation, why we think it's never been a better time actually to start a small business, and kind of a few more resources that I can share with you today. So I just, hopefully this works with my slides. Amazing. So that's basically what we do. Enterprise Nation, we help build a nation of small businesses, and we work with partners to do that. So one of the programs we work with is Amazon, and we put together a small business accelerator, which I'll introduce you to a little bit later in this slide presentation. So super quick, I'm just going to go over, for anyone who's not familiar with Enterprise Nation, who we are and what we do, what we consider the state of our small business nation to be looking like right now, and how we've set up some different learning resources so that people can get started growing their business. So a little bit about Enterprise Nation. We've been around for a while, founded by Emma Jones MBE 2005, and we're UK's most active small business support network, and we support about 500,000 businesses each year, if that's through our community platform. So our online platform is a place where people can connect with other businesses, advisors, check out some of the campaigns that we're running, and also provide some data and insights so we can go ahead and share with corporates, with government, about what small businesses have been raising their hand for. So I wanted to introduce to you what an Enterprise Nation member looks like, because it's actually not that different to potentially some of you who are thinking about growing their businesses. So typically an Enterprise Nation member only has less than 10%, 10 employees in their business. Most of our businesses are solo entrepreneurs, so they're wearing many hats and getting all the jobs done themselves. Majority of our businesses have started in their spare rooms, so they may be small on scale, but they're definitely big on ambition. And what we want to do is provide kind of a trusted network, somewhere where the reputation speaks for itself, where we can connect with each other through events similar to Startup Weekend, lunch and learns, some of our webinar content, some of our e-learning content, to make sure that all of our small businesses have access to the trusted kind of advice and information that they need to move forward. So if you are thinking about starting a business and you are really early on, just know that you are not alone in kind of the size or scope that you're actually coming into the sector. So most of our businesses, nearly 60% of our businesses, are less than 3 years established. So if you've been looking in the press recently, especially during the pandemic times, you'll see that this has been a record year for small businesses being registered at Companies House. So it's quite interesting to see that even a time like this will actually spur people on to follow their passions and pursue projects that they might normally not have gone forward with. Most of our businesses are so varied. Our biggest service is service sectors. So we see a lot of lawyers and accountants who are learning to be solo entrepreneurs, consultancies for themselves. But a big booming sector for us is health, fitness and wellness. So we're seeing a lot of businesses that are starting online, but really focusing on the wellness sector. And as I mentioned, most of our businesses are really small. We call them kind of micro businesses. So they're less than five employees. And so what we want to do is really support people who are doing something on their own and connecting them to other collaborators. And that's why Startup Weekend is actually a really good place to start out with, because you'll meet some of those connections that you might actually start a business with or use as vendors or collaborate with in the future. So as I mentioned, it might sound crazy to maybe start a business in an economic downturn, but if you are thinking about it, you're actually not alone. In the last economic downturn, the financial crisis of 2007 to 2009, we saw some of our biggest startups launching at that time. So if you think of the economic downturn last, we had Airbnb launching right at the beginning of the financial crisis, and they were tourism. They're obviously going through a similar kind of time to pivot again now, with another recession really impacting the travel services. But we've seen how Airbnb are looking to pivot into business and experiences that can actually grow the business further away from maybe the hospitality or hotel industry, but also look to sort of help people with experiences, understand different heritages in terms of what's going on in the UK, really make sure that they are moving forward with the staycation sector as well. MailChimp is another business that was started in the recession, and they actually pivoted during the financial crisis. Before they started during the dot-com boom, and they were actually really focused on corporates. And during the financial downturn 2008, they actually started to reach out to small businesses. And they're one of the best providers for small business email marketing. And again, Uber, WhatsApp, all born out of the financial recession last time around. So if you think that it's a really dicey time to maybe dip your toe in the waters of entrepreneurship, let it be known that there's actually some really great case studies that have come out of financial uncertainty. So what we recommend for Enterprise Nation, and very similar to Startup Weekend, is where can you kind of find resources and what resources should you be looking for? So I'll be sharing later on in this presentation about some of kind of the more regional support you can find in the Southwest. One of the top tips we suggest is finding support and mentorship. So Helen James, one of our founders, she is a regular at some of the Southwest meetups actually. And the reason she joins meetups or she raises her hand for mentorship via the Enterprise Nation platform is not only is it about finding support for herself, but it's also about accountability and making sure that she's showing up for her other entrepreneurs, the people in her sector, the people in her area, and making sure she's making a contribution to the ecosystem. So she mentioned, she shows up even if she doesn't have an ask. And I think that's one of the really nice things about networking in general, is that you don't always have to have an outcome related to maybe some of your networking events or reaching out to people. At this point in time, what I think we'll see a lot of during the next kind of couple of months and maybe into 2021 is people really supporting each other, so that moving forward, we are thinking more about community rather than competition. And one of the things we really champion at Enterprise Nation, which is one of the reasons we teamed up with Amazon for this small business accelerator, is about just-in-time learning. What that means is before you start your business, you don't have to know everything and get all your ducks in a row before you launch. You can actually find that done is better than perfect, and you can learn what you need just in time. So an example of this is Brian. He is a founder of Learn Spanish In, which is a travel company that helps people go to different cities in Spain to really practice and hone their Spanish language. Now, he was actually going to launch this in 2020, but obviously, as we know, the travel industry kind of took a hit at the moment. But he wanted to kind of build a community of fans. So when travel was up and running again, he was front and center for people's consideration when they wanted to go over to Spain, practice their Spanish. So what he did is he reached out to a small business journalist named Dan Martin, actually based in Bristol. And he wanted to find out more about SEO and PR, knowing that they're important for visibility and moving forward with business. So they were able to connect, work together on some PR plans. And it's a good way of kind of understanding that for Brian, he didn't need to be an SEO expert and he didn't need to be a PR expert, but he needed to know just the right amount of information just in time when he was looking to maybe pivot to more of an online focus while he's waiting for the travel industry to bounce back a little bit more. So as I mentioned, we've kind of collated some business resources in the Southwest. We work quite closely with Heart of the Southwest Growth Hub. They have a lot of different, more regional specific information for you guys. They've also got some access to small business grants. Business West, another partner of us at Enterprise Nation, Tech Nation, they have a hub in the Southwest. And it's really great if you would reach out to them to see what meetups are coming up. They do a few different accelerator options which have moved online too, and the federation is slated under that roof. Waiting for that to move. Oh, too quick. Perfect. So what we wanted to do during the pandemic is support our small businesses who are starting point two, that comes. We wanted to support focusing on time learning. So anyone who had a side hustle or part-time business before and wanted to take that free full-time, we were offering a free online training, helping people to start, grow and turbocharge their business. So we've been sponsored by Amazon for this, and it's been really amazing to see kind of businesses on out, not just sales, but also business services as well. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to ask our businesses who are already on our platform what they want to learn and what kind of stuff they demand on, and if it's something they wanted. But definitely we asked in the survey, did people want to move their business online or see how they could use digital products to increase productivity? Absolutely. As we're moving into another lockdown, this week, in fact, these data points are even more important for us. What people want to learn in the future, they're ready to bounce after a second. And a lot of our businesses were interested in potentially pivoting, which is something I've just mentioned when we're talking about MailChimp or Airbnb. Looking at a pandemic, yes, potentially a blocker, but also a bonus. Things that can see where is a different revenue stream that I hadn't considered before, where are the opportunities, where are the demand that I maybe haven't considered, and does that look like something online for me? Does that look like experiences moving forward? Does that look like partnerships? So we asked our small businesses if they wanted to diversify their revenue streams they already had, and if they were thinking of improving their commercial, all kind of the accelerator. So it's to online training, but we take a diagnostic first to see where kind of people's businesses is right now. So you're just that ideation stage, and maybe you're thinking at Startup Weekend and your idea is maybe not fully formed. A diagnostic can kind of help you check the business health of your potential idea. And what that will then suggest to you is what online learning track you should go through. We have dedicated boot camps as well, which are a little bit more intensive than the on-demand videos. They're actually over 2 to 5 days, lecture series, and different offers for kicking off a business. Always good to have a discount when you're thinking of your own business. Familiar with any kind of online training, really short bite-sized videos, again, just for that just-in-time learning, starting at the real bare bones of ideation and moving through to what your MVP might look like. And added bonus is that you get a free edition which is worth £1 your business. And if you have an idea weekend that you actually put through to fruition, you never know, you might see yourself as the Enterprise Nation homepage hero like Tim here. Now, I'm open for any questions for sure. Best of luck on going that week up. If anyone's interested in going to the accelerator, you can always reach out to Emily for more details.
Great, thank you very much, Diane. That was really interesting. We can obviously share everything that Diane shared this evening with everyone after this event, and we'll share it with everyone that's attending the Startup Weekend as well. So if you've got that idea and you're thinking about pitching or giving it a go, then Startup Weekend, as hopefully everyone is aware by now, is a great opportunity to do just that and kickstart an idea And as Diane said, there's lots of resources and sort of support available from people like Enterprise Nations and Amazon to help you on those next steps as well. So now we're going to go over to Maria, and Maria is going to tell us all about pitching at the Startup Weekend event. She's facilitated and run numerous Startup Weekend events, and she knows all of the top tips to help us. So Maria, over to you.
Hi everyone. Thank you, Emily. It's great to be here with everyone. A short tip on my side. I mean, I know this goes out to all our participants, first participants, then organizers, mentors, and everyone else with us on board. I know exactly how you feel and where you stand because I've been where you are, and trust me, it feels crazy, it feels chaotic. Being virtual makes it a bit more crazy, but it's worth the ride. You're going to have a lot of fun over that weekend, and between now and then, you're going to learn a lot of new techniques, and meet a lot of new people, learn a lot of new things, and make sure you'll have fun. And the next thing I would like to share with you is that our business, our current business now, was actually built at the Startup Weekend. So hackathons like Startup Weekend are a proven fact that weekends and hackathons like this, we actually have a great outcome and we actually see real businesses come out of it. So let me share a couple of tips with you of what a good pitch should look like, both on Friday night and on Sunday. Now I'm going to share a couple of tips with everyone, which you will see and hear of them between now and then. But I just want you to start taking a couple of notes. We'll be putting it on into Slack too, to give you a slight idea to start everybody getting into the mood and understanding the process, as it will be run virtually. By the way, this is my second virtual Startup Weekend, and I'm looking forward to it. So on to the slides. Pitching deck. What should my pitch look like on Friday night? Let's start with that. So as Emily mentioned, your pitch on Friday night is very short. So the main thing you need to cover is introduce yourself and tell us a small idea about your pitch. People after your pitch, don't forget, everybody will be pitching on Friday night. So things they will need to remember is your name, your idea. So maybe a title to the idea or a solution to the idea so people can relate and come back to you. What problem are you solving? Very important to mention that during your pitch. So make sure before you come out on Friday afternoon, this is an advantage of being virtual, you will have done a bit of your homework and you will have understood, you'll have a slight idea of what is it that you're trying to solve. So tell a story, very important. The story usually what sells the idea, more than the actual idea or the product, the story behind it, people connect to the story and to the person behind it. Why is your idea unique? These are a couple of tips that I'm sharing with you too, which the mentors and surely the judges on Sunday night and at later stage throughout your idea. And when you talk to VCs, these are questions that are going to be coming up over and over. So if you want to jot some things down, otherwise we will be sharing this with you later on Slack too. And we will be talking about it again before and during the weekend. So what's unique about your idea or your product, your solution, and what does your solution do? How does it work? Who are your competitors? Why pick you over somewhere else? How many? Okay, so this one is a good one. This one is a bit more advanced validation. So these are a couple of things, as Emily mentioned, these are a couple of things that will be covered throughout the weekend. So you won't actually be able to go out and talk to customers being a virtual event, but everything can be done online. So one thing you can look in is maybe looking into online tools that you can share questionnaires and check into other ways and other tools that people have been using for customer validation. This is what customer validation means. So throughout the weekend, or mainly on Saturday, we expect, depending how big each team is, 1 to 2 members to actually just focus on this. So talk to potential customers. So what did you learn? What are your takes for your customers from customer validation? And did you get anyone to commit or buy or show interest in your product? Market opportunity. Who are your customers? Very important. We'll also be doing a business model canvas with everybody, a workshop on Saturday morning. I'll probably be running that with Emily, where we go through all the processes of what you need to cover and what are the processes from point A to point Z. How large is the market you're focusing on? And can you measure the size of opportunity? And very important, why now? Again, let me share some tips with you. Times of crisis are proven to be times of opportunity also. This is a great time to build, to create, to innovate. So I'm really looking forward to hearing all your ideas and meeting everybody between now and the weekend and seeing, we've seen amazing pitches on Friday night, and the way they evolve until Sunday evening for the final pitches is, oh my God. Who are your direct and indirect competitors? Again, make sure you have checked out the local market and possible international market. Who are your competitors? Why are you trying to compete with them? Or what have you found a gap in something that they're doing? Have you found a challenge? And how are you willing to fill that gap or do it better? What is your revenue stream? So this is still very early stages to talk about. We'll be going through it again throughout the weekend and after the business model canvas, but just keep it in mind, just giving you more content than you need for now. So you have an idea and you prepare yourselves better throughout the weekend. We'll be sharing more throughout on stream, on Slack, sorry. So you have enough content to play around with and prepare yourselves until the weekend. So what are your costs, break even? All these will be kind of questions that you'll be asked on Sunday night, not Friday night, Sunday night, but we'll be talking about them again then. How will you gain early adopters? What is your customer acquisition plan? Key milestones to reach. All of this we'll be talking about throughout the weekend and mainly focusing to Sunday night pitches. And of course, your team. Now it's up to you. Some of you might be pitching on Friday night. You might have you might be 2 or even 3 members who are pitching for the idea. Remember one thing, Startup Weekend means we start at the weekend. You are welcome to bring in a 2nd and 3rd team member to your team as long as the idea is being worked on and adapted at the weekend. So we keep it fair and it sits with its brand. Startup Weekend, we start at the weekend. We know if and when anyone has been trying to hijack it, so I wouldn't recommend you do so. Killer Finance slide. So restate the one major takeaway. Again, this will be talking more on Sunday night. Your name, you can close the presentation again, your pitch on Friday night, again by mentioning your name and again the title of the idea or the name of the idea if you already have one. And general recommendations, again, a bit too early to deal with these ones. We'll talk about that a bit more then. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, please make sure to put them below. That's what we're here for. Emily, back to you.
Yeah, just to emphasize what Maria said, obviously the Startup Weekend is for early stage ideas, and we're going to go through all of what Maria said again over the weekend, and especially pick up pitching and go through that with all of the teams again on Sunday. Now we're just going to jump to a Q&A. I can't see any questions that have come through so far, so do drop those in the chat. I'll just start by going through some frequently asked questions. And if we don't have any come through, then we'll move on then and then come back and do a Q&A at the end if anybody has any questions. So one of the questions we often get asked in the lead up to a startup weekend is, can I come with a pre-formed team? Or can I bring a friend? So can I come with a pre-formed team? No, we encourage everyone to come and meet new people at the event and form a team at the event with people that they haven't met before and with different skill sets. I have had a question previously about coming with a pre-formed team for this event, as an attendee has been working with a group of people and they're interested in looking at an idea, but they want to test whether they're a good group. So I said, come along, everyone pitch an idea on the Friday, and then perhaps you might form a team around that idea. But you cannot come with a pre-formed team. You can bring a friend though. So if you've got a friend that might be interested, invite them along. But we encourage everyone, as I said, to meet people that they haven't met before and join a new team and work with new people. So someone has asked about pitching on the Friday. For Friday's pitch, do we need slides? The answer is no, you don't need any slides on the Friday. All you need is yourself. The Friday pitch is a very simple elevator pitch. There are no slides and you have 1 minute to pitch your idea. And in that pitch, you need to highlight what the problem is that you're trying to solve, why people should join your team, and the ideas you have to solve that problem. And then you might also say what skills you need in that team. Another question we get asked a lot at the Startup Weekend is, of course, I don't have an idea, but can I still join in the event? Hopefully I've already answered that question. But yes, come along, join a team, learn new skills, meet new people. There's another question in the chat, which is, are there any kind of businesses that you'd suggest are not suitable for a startup weekend? So the startup weekend itself is for very early stage ideas. So if you're already a business and you're looking to develop that business, it's not for you. But you might be interested in taking part in the event as a supporting sponsor or as a mentor or a speaker. Or you might already have a business and you might have another idea that you don't have time to develop or work on at the moment that you want to kickstart at the startup weekend. That's completely fine. It just has to be a brand new idea. It can be any business or any individual from any background with any skill set. And we're going to have a whole host of people at the event from all sorts of different backgrounds. It will be really exciting. So just to confirm, Friday's pitch is really simple. It's an introduction to what your problem is and how you're going to solve it and who you need on your team to help you do that. The in-depth pitching and the in-depth slides is on the Sunday at the end of the weekend, okay? So hopefully that answers some of the questions. If you have any further questions, feel free to keep dropping them in the chat and we can sort of pick any leftovers up at the end. Or feel free to reach out to the organising team and check out our event page for the details on how to do that. So next, I'm going to hand over to Gavin. Gavin is Managing Director at Elixir and co-founder of Digital Plymouth. And as I've said, if you don't already know what that is, then I highly recommend you check Digital Plymouth out and join in one of their future meetups. Really sort of a great community. And Gavin and Digital Plymouth are also a key part of our Startup Weekend community here. So Gavin, over to you.
Brilliant, thank you. So Yeah, just got a quick few slides to go through. So I hope you're all having a good evening so far. I've been invited and asked to come along today to talk through our startup journey, share a few insights that we've had along the way, and also kind of share some pointers as a judge who came along in the previous years. So yeah, a little bit about me. So when I started school, I never really dreamed I'd be running a business. And actually, to be honest, when everyone was thinking about things they wanted to be, whether that was a vet, an astronaut, or a paleontologist, I was pretty set on being a clown. I had the outfit and everything. I'm not sure whether I had a visions of the big feet I'd have in the future. I'm not really sure. In fact, most of what I know today from a business point of view has been learned over the last 8 years of running Elixir as an agency. A digital creative agency or a digital creative business, either way. And so I'm going to break that down a little bit more. So I went to college to do a VGC in art and design. Now, I'm going to explain to you this, but imagine the shock on my parents' face. And to give you some context, when I was in school, they asked me and my siblings to each do a design for our front garden. And this is what I came up with. Now, I'm a strong believer in your passions for driving things forward, but let's be honest, my drawing capability was definitely lacking. So to choose to do a VGC in art and design is a bit of a strange one. But yeah, I'm a strong believer in following your passions and pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. I believe that if you're working hard in an industry that you love, then you're going to be happy and you're going to be successful. So the reason I did the VGC in art and design was because I love creativity. I loved pushing myself creatively. And I always think great things happen when you push yourself out of your comfort zone. That's probably why I moved 200 miles away to go to university. The city had a beautiful balance of being nice and far away from home, near the sea, which, let's be honest, I lived in the Midlands and probably the furthest away from the sea, and had a really good, really strong, interesting course on digital art and technology. Now, beforehand, the nearest I got to digital was adding background GIFs to my MySpace profile. So this is definitely going to be a challenge for me. And at the course which I studied at university was where I actually met my co-founders. You know, it was a mishmash of creative people, designers, artists, coders. And ultimately, the Startup Weekend is brilliant for creating that kind of atmosphere of bringing different people from different places together to work on interesting projects. And I've been on the back of the pitching table on a few times as well, which is an interesting one for me. In my final year of the course, we had the opportunity to create our own business and pitch it to a Dragons panel. And I was lucky enough to be able to pass through flying colours, and even won a 3-month space in Formation Zone, which was kind of the incubation space at the time. At the university. Now, if I'm being honest with you, we actually started up a little bit before then, and we're living and working out of our bedrooms. But to be honest, it's not so much fun getting out of bed, jumping on a computer, getting back to bed, and kind of eating in between. And having a space and an environment where we could all work together was a really good space to be. Obviously, challenging times at the moment are not necessarily that easy. And when we started our business, we were literally building and working on projects with the clients that we met through placement year, with the people that we knew. I spent a lot of my time going to networking events and having conversations with different businesses from different parts of the city, and working a lot with other agencies, actually, other people who run digital businesses in the city. And the weird thing was, when we started the business, we didn't know how many digital businesses there were in the city. We didn't think there were that many. And from being here and working here in the city, I realized there is so many in the city. And actually, from a national point of view, Plymouth has not really been seen as kind of a tech cluster. So that's one of the things that we're really passionate about and we really wanted to change. So 5 years ago, we set about creating Digital Plymouth along with a few other organisations in the city. So we run these events every quarter, and it's a collection of people who are working digital and creative roles in businesses and who are digital and creative businesses themselves. And every quarter, when we were doing the in-person events, we'd have anywhere from 60 to 100 people come along. We'd have people do talks. And we've even been running virtual events since lockdown has happened. And the next event is on the 3rd of December. So if you want to find out when that event is, go to meetups.com and just search for Digital Plymouth. We'd love to have you along and come and join the community. Now, one of the challenges with starting up a business from scratch the point here is, and one of the things I want to drive home is, we had no prior experience of running a business, and actually no prior experience of actually running an agency. We pretty much started from scratch, started from space zero. There's going to be some of you who go to this weekend who are already going to have some level of experience in the industry, so you'll be there at an advantage. And there'll be some of you who won't have or even had that experience in the first place. So we were kind of pretty much trying to work out what we were doing, how we were delivering projects, how we were meeting client briefs. And one of the biggest challenges with that was we were always just building solutions. Like, clients would come to us with a brief saying, oh, we want you to build this. We want you to build this. And we didn't have the experience or the process in place to work out whether or not that was necessarily the right thing to do. And I'm going to talk to you one of those clients and one of those opportunities without actually mentioning any names. So one of our early clients, early days, I think it was our second year, came to us with this brief. And this product was a monolith, was huge. The client had brought feedback in from every single part of their organization, and they had about 20 different parts of the application, and it was really complex. And at that early stage, we were like, the client must know what they want. They must know what they want to deliver early days. And we built it for them. And 12 months later, we scrapped the whole thing and started again and rebuilt it. And because we hadn't really worked out what the problem is we were trying to solve with the product, we literally were just building what we were asked to build. And this came even more evident further on the line when we actually went and thought, well, this has gone really well. This client is flying with this idea. Let's go and see if we can get funding and see if we can build this for other clients of this type. So we went through a process. We did some Creative England Start of a 10 program. We did pitches, and we actually won a grant to develop the project further, to kind of do some early stage discovery. And from that discovery and building the platform, we realized that no other clients actually wanted this. It was only this specific client that needed this product and needed this product at this time. So it was a massive lesson learned by not understanding the actual client, not understanding the market, and not understanding the product need. It shows you so much. It's so important to do that market research, to understand who it is that you're trying to deal with, who it is that wants this product, and what the problem is that you're trying to solve. And that's kind of why I wanted to talk about this product and this platform and in this pitch. I wanted to talk about people. I want to talk about passion and talk about the power of problems. Us as a business, we had the people, we had the skills, we had the capability, we had the passion to kind of deliver. But the biggest issue was we were just delivering things. We weren't thinking about the problems that we were trying to solve for people. We weren't thinking about the people. We were just thinking about the businesses and what their needs were. Now, a few years ago, probably about 6 years ago now, we met a guy called Rob Breeds at an event. Rob was as a head of one of the design leads at IBM, and was classified as a master inventor. And he introduced us to this process called design thinking, which allowed you to get a deeper understanding of people, deeper understanding of products, and help to shape the product in what you wanted it to be. And I know there's some courses and some workshops later on during the weekend that are going to cover some of these aspects in more detail. So it changed the way that we think about products, got us looking at stakeholders. Who are the people that are going to be impacted by the product? Build up those personas, build a real understanding who those individuals are, what they're saying, what they're thinking, what they're doing, and start working out where our idea sits in that user journey, in that journey of that product. So if you're looking to build a product that's in the space of selling cars, like, what is the process someone goes through from purchasing a car? Do they do research beforehand? Do they go to a show? Do they do research afterwards? What is the reason they're making a purchase for the car? Are they just looking to get a bigger car? Or has one of their cars broken down? If you can understand the problems, you can then make sure you're building the right solution for that platform and for those people. For example, if I go and I see a couple, I'm going to make an assumption these guys are going to want a nice, probably maybe a sports car. Maybe they look quite flashy, but then what I didn't realize is that the problem is they've got a nice car, but what they need is a bigger car because they're a growing family. And by understanding that, and by building a deep understanding of who they are, I can make sure that we're building the right thing and selling them the right platform. And the world is full of problems. During my business and during the kind of the time of running Elixir, we've built platforms and we've built problems and solved so many different problems during the company. And they're a mixture. There's the novel problems, like we just can't sort out an office drink round. There's the dry kind of commercial problems. Why is it so difficult to buy and kind of manage my insurance? To more purposeful problems, like when you find out you've got cancer and you just don't know what things you should be eating or how you should be eating them. But by looking at the problems and understanding the people behind them, we're able to build more meaningful products that are going to have real impact. And you've got an opportunity here with the people that you're bringing to your team to bring in people that potentially are going to have experience in those areas, who are going to understand the market as well. So if you can make sure you're shaping your product around those people, there's so much potential there. And for us, by changing that model and changing that vision of what products need to be, we've been able to build and develop our team. Last year, Rob came on as a full member of our team. We also brought on a new commercial director, and we really reshaped the business to be around kind of what our strengths are and what we can deliver to our clients, including to be able to scale up teams to a huge quantity. So we're now part of a wider group that has over 500 employees, which allows us to scale to a completely different platform, and that's just through making sure that what we're delivering actually solves a real problem and helps real people. And what I would say to you is, as people who are looking to pitch your business and looking to try and drive yourself forward, and you've got an idea, when you're pitching your business to people, what I want you to think about is who is the person that I'm trying to help here? What is the real problem I'm trying to solve? And have that passion there to be able to showcase and push the idea forward. And the most important thing as well as that is practice. You've only got a set amount of time that you've got to deliver your talk. And the last thing you want to do is run out of time. You want to make sure you get your key points in there and really get your message across. Make sure you've got your time. Make sure you've got your timing and nailed down. So I hope that was useful. I know it was a quick, super whistle-stop tour of where we started and how we've traveled with a few insights on the product side. I hope it was useful, and I hope you join the team for the weekend. It should be a great weekend. I'm loving the fact that it's going to be digital as well, because it means we can get loads more people involved. Thank you.
Yes, thanks, Gavin. Absolutely loved that presentation, and I always enjoy hearing Gavin speak. But just to pick up on a few things that Gavin said there, I think firstly I just want to pick up one of the things he said: people, passion, and the power of problems. Wow, that's so important right now, especially in the current climate. And as Gavin said, if you understand the problem, then you can build a solution. So if you've identified a problem and you've identified a solution, bring it to the Startup Weekend. And that event and that community will have the people and the passion to help you take that idea forward. So Gavin also mentioned different levels of experience at the Startup Weekend, and I just wanted to pick up on that quickly as well. This is so important. These events are for anyone. They're for someone who's been in business years and years and has retired and wants to try something new. And they're also for someone that hasn't experience but wants to try something new. At our at our first Startup Weekend event, our winning team was led by Rosie, and she was surrounded by a team of students. Rosie said, wow, these students said they weren't sure about the experience that they were bringing to the Startup Weekend event, but I would never have met these students or met these young people and worked with them had I not attended the Startup Weekend. And they brought passion, energy, ideas to the table. So I can't emphasize this enough. If you're thinking about coming along, but you're wondering what you're going to bring, you've got something to bring. You've got your background, your skill set, your ideas, and your passion. So just wanted to pick up on that. So as Gavin said, search Digital Plymouth on meetup.com and do check out the Digital Plymouth community and come along to a meetup. We will also share it again after this event. Lastly, before we finish and just answer any remaining questions, I just want to throw it over to Alex. Alex runs Yenna in Plymouth, which are another group of meetups and another community. And I just wanted Alex to come along this evening and quickly tell everyone a little bit more about Yenna in Plymouth. But also Alex is part of the Startup Weekend community. He's part of the Yenna community. He's come along to our Startup Weekend events. He was part of the winning team at one of our Startup Weekend events. He's what we'd call a serial entrepreneur. So he's got an idea, then he's probably working on 5 at the same time right now. But yeah, Alex, tell everyone a little bit more about Yenna and why it's another community that they should get involved with here in Plymouth.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's probably 3 businesses this year so far, just not counting, but thanks for that. And yeah, thanks Gavin as well, who that was an awesome run through there, and the rest of our speakers this evening. Gavin's a regular at our Yenna events, so if you liked what he was saying, then get involved in our community, and create that opportunity to connect further with not just him, but many other people who, like yourself, have a business idea, are working on a startup business, or maybe just working in some sort of creative industry. I originally sort of reached out to the founder of Yenna, Ash Phillips, a guy who I met in Bristol actually, at an event similar to this. At the time, I was sort of just starting out with one of my first business ideas around about 4 years ago. And I think I just experienced Digital Plymouth for the first time, which was a real eye-opener. And a great event to be a part of, and I still regularly attend now, even having moved online. It's still a great community to be a part of, and you can meet some amazing people there. I think it's where I met Gav. And yeah, so I went along to this event in Bristol because I didn't know much else existed in this kind of area of the Southwest for connecting with like-minded people. And it was a learn to pitch style day, where I met, like I said, met Ash up there, and he mentioned what Yenna was and what they were doing and had been doing for a couple of years. I think it's been running for over 6 years now. So we're the 10th city in the UK to run a Yenna event. The initial premise was for, I think, under 30s to get together and kind of scrap the rule book on the kind of like stereotypical, speed networking and, maybe turning up and being pitched sort of legal services and that kind of rubbish. Sorry for any legal or solicitors that are listening in this evening. But no, really, like it was to have an environment like you're going to get on this weekend, but just in a sort of informal setting once a month, which we do, or were doing up until lockdown. And yeah, for anyone, like I said before, who's thinking about a business that they want to start up, which is a little bit creative, maybe you're in a creative industry and you want to get involved in something like that, or possibly just, like I say, you're maybe a year or 2 into things, maybe a few more, but you're looking to just connect with people like yourself. And, you feel like you can't just share ideas with perhaps other mates. So yeah, come down to Yenna and do that. We have some amazing speakers along, and at the moment we're actually running events on a sort of international scale. So since we started in Plymouth about 2 years ago, we've expanded the Yenna network, and I think we stretch into now Malta, Singapore, Berlin, Melbourne. We're pretty much worldwide. And beyond just the actual meetups themselves, so you can find some virtual meetups that we're still running at the moment, but there's also a great kind of support package which comes with membership, that you can find out more about at joinyenna.com. Things such as like a toolbox to software subscriptions, which are just really going to accelerate your business forward, through to sort of expert advice, sounding boards for sort of sharing and bouncing ideas around, links to investment, and so on. So yeah, it's a really great opportunity. If you like what you get on this weekend, I think you would like an opportunity too. And again, just to vouch for this weekend, like Emily said, I was involved in one of the teams. I wasn't a student that was with Rosie, but yeah, no, we did do quite well that weekend. And I just really from my experience, really get stuck in with it. It will be full on. It will be good fun. And yeah, just get in and start validating that idea as soon as you can, so that you can build a pitch around it. And good luck to you all. Thanks, Emily.
Great, thanks, Alex, and thanks again to all of our speakers. I just want to reiterate, I've invited Alex and Gavin along this evening, not only because they're great, really interesting people that are doing cool things, but just to emphasize that if you attend a startup weekend or connect with us, then you become part of a community, and that community is linked to a number of other communities and networks across Plymouth and beyond, locally and globally. And these are all people who are really interested in ideas and entrepreneurship and meeting new people and developing things. So thank you very much, Alex. And as Alex said, if you're interested in finding out more about Yenna, then reach out. We'll connect you with Alex, or search joinyenna.com. So before we sort of round up for the event, we're just going to pick up a couple of more questions that have arrived in the chat. So firstly, there was a question earlier about any businesses that are not suitable. And apologies if I didn't answer this correctly, but any business idea at the startup weekend. So it could be an app, it could be a cafe for a certain type of person, like the Dementia Cafe in Plymouth. It could be a social enterprise, any business, any sector, any idea. The key thing to remember is the idea that you're bringing to the startup weekend must be solving a problem. So really think about what that problem you're trying to solve is, as Gavin said earlier, and what the solution is. And that solution could be anything. We've also had a question about how we can tap into these communities to do our market research and validation of ideas and businesses. That's a really good question. So during the startup weekend, we're going to have a customer validation workshop, and Rachel during that workshop is going to signpost to loads of tools and resources to help you. What we will also do as an organising team is signpost you to, firstly, any other startup weekends that are happening globally that we could connect with and share questionnaires, share our market research, and help each other validate our ideas. We can also help tap you into our networks, whether it's the Digital Plymouth Network, the Yenna Network, the universities network, and different expertise that might be able to help you complete that market research. So that's a really good question, and hopefully I've answered that. I can't see any more questions in the chat, so I'm going to start to round up, but do drop any in, and if we see any come through before I finish, then we will answer them. Firstly, thank you to all of our speakers this evening, Maria, Diane, Gavin, Alex, and also thank you for the tech team behind us who are helping us run this really smoothly. So I'd just like to finish quickly by thanking our sponsors of the Startup Weekend next week. So as I mentioned earlier, this event is led by the University of Plymouth as part of the iMayflower project. So iMayflower is the cultural development fund Plymouth won last year, and it's funded by the Department for Digital Culture, Media and Sport, and is being delivered by Arts Council England. If you want to find out any more about that project or any of the other activities that we're delivering as part of that, then reach out and we will signpost to those. I also want to thank our supporting sponsors who are First Sight Media and Outset Enterprise Coaching. Thanks guys, we're really looking forward to having you on board as part of our first online startup weekend, which is really exciting. And also lastly, our prize sponsors. So there's a couple more that have come on board since I did this slide, so that's even better. But like to thank Devon and Plymouth Chamber, Bull and Wolf Film Co, who actually were at our last startup weekend. So if you've seen any sort of film content that's come out about this event, it was probably Bull and Wolf that did it. Also like to thank Rio and the Creative Industry Federation. As I said, there's a couple more missing there amongst our prize sponsors. And thank you everyone for attending or tuning in, whether you're on Zoom or YouTube Live this evening. Thank you so much. I really hope that we can see you all at the Startup Weekend in a week or so time. If you've already registered for the event, then do join us on Slack. You should have an invitation in your email, so do check your clutter. Reach out to us with any questions. And if you haven't registered but you're thinking about it, again, reach out to us if you have any questions. And yeah, we'll do our best to answer them. Thank you everyone very much. And we're finishing early, but we'll wrap up for there. And yeah, thank you and good night.